All right, everyone, this is Adam,
This is Cullen.
and this is Some Kind of Life. We're going to start off this little shindig by talking about our own lives. So, Cullen, when did you first realize that you were becoming who you are?
It was when I was about 18. I was at my sister's Sweet 16. It was the first time we ever met. First time I ever met her, my other sister, my mom, my aunt, my grandmother. It was a pretty surreal day to actually
Yeah,
just for the first time meeting any of them.
just all at once.
All at once.
There's no wading into that pool.
No, I was at staying at a hotel and I walked over to their apartment and the six of them or whatever it was were all kind of sitting in the living room and it was a very awkward hangout session to say the least.
As I can imagine. Um, See, I had. We'll both introduce and then we'll elaborate. My similar. Well, not at all similar. my my formative situation, one of my proudest moments, was reconnecting with my dad. I hadn't seen him in 10 years, and I hadn't spoken to him, like, even through AIM, because that was all the rage, in about 7. And then, due to a series of events, I met him, and I had kind of the same thing. I drove down to where he lives in Jersey. We're up in Boston, so that was a 5, 6, actually more like 7 hour drive. And I walked into a room full of my family who I had seen before. Like, it wasn't quite as drastic as you. But the last time I saw some of these people, I was 11 years old, and I'm 23 now, full-time job, responsibilities. Yeah, because I'm such an old man at 23. And I walk in, and I'm like, hey, we're ready to pick up where we left off. It was a very surreal moment, and it's tough to explain unless you have been in that situation.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to go through. It's definitely not an easy thing to handle, especially being so young. I personally didn't know how to handle it. I remember distinctly acting like it wasn't phasing me, and then the entire flight home, I'm pretty sure because it was a direct flight from LAX to Boston. I like was literally crying the entire time, but doing my best to not openly weep for 6 hours on a plane.
That stoic man tears.
Yeah, the stoic man tears. But so I didn't even know how to process the situation. I didn't even realize why I was crying until after years after when I was thinking about the event. I don't know. It changed me forever, that moment.
I felt similar afterwards because at the moment it's not that I wasn't phased. It's not that I didn't realize what I was going through was big. It's that I still kind of felt like I was a dream. Like, I stayed there for 4 or 5 days, and the whole time I'm like, is this actually happening? Like, this is so odd. I remember this house. I remember that tree, except it's cut down now. Like, that dog's older. But otherwise, it's pretty much how it was. It's like 10 years ago. Same shady convenience store, because it's New Jersey. There's a shady convenience store on every street. Um, I didn't know how to process it. When I got back to Boston, I picked up a friend of mine, and I was trying to explain to her what just happened, but I couldn't. Like, I picked her up because I wanted to talk to someone, and I just didn't know what to say. So I picked her up. I drove her around for 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm just going to drop you off and go home and cry in my driveway for a little while.
Yeah, I can get that.
It's just no. There's no. There's no prior experience that a normal person goes through to prepare you for that.
Oh, absolutely not. It's
Like, you have movies to teach you about breakups. You have, you know how to handle a fight or an argument or meeting a new friend, but no one teaches you how to just rebuild a family relationship.
from the ground up.
For your case, it was literally a brand new relationship.
For all of us too. I don't think any of us really knew how to handle the situation, except for maybe my mother and my older sister, because my older sister was also put up for adoption too. So she had moved. She had always known my grandmother because they lived in the same town in Oregon, but my sister was having some family problems, so she moved in with my mother in LA. She flew from Oregon down to LA and lived there for a couple of years, and that's a whole different thing. But they were the only ones who really had any grasp on the situation as to how to properly deal with it, because they had just gone through that a year or two beforehand.
It's it sounds almost like a cop out whenever I try. I'm like, you have to go through it. Luckily, most people don't ever have to go through it.
Yeah.
but it's just so hard to, because you're trying to like pick and choose what your family was before that. I mean, not so much in your case. In my case, I just had cut half my family out of my life and just pretended they didn't exist. Um, One of my old bosses, I worked with him for about 4 years, and one day I said something off the cuff about my dad, and he's like, "Is your dad still alive? Because I've known you for a long time. You never talked about him." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we just don't talk." And that answer satisfied me for a while. I just accepted that's not a relationship I have. Like, I have my mom's side of the family. We're great. I love all of my family now, but at the time I was very close to my mom's side. Still very good friends with my mom. Um, as though I wouldn't be for some reason. I don't know why I said that. But to me, it didn't hit me until the summer where I was 23. Two of my friends both lost their dads. Both were just medical conditions. Came out of nowhere. And somebody asked me about my dad. And I'm like, oh yeah, we don't talk. Just like my standard answer. And then that was the first time I'm like, that's not good enough. Like, I don't know why I've been okay with this for so long. So I found him on Facebook. I had blocked him a while ago because I'm mature. And I started messaging him. And we were both, it was so strange. I remember distinctly, he gave me his phone number. He said, okay, call me when you're ready to talk. And I had his number for like 2 days before I called him. And I just kept putting it off. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I came home from work and I got on my phone and I made sure it was fully charged. And I'm like, yeah, it might still die. So I plugged it in and I sat next to it. And then I went outside and smoked like 2 more cigarettes and I came back in. I'm like, okay, maybe, no whiskey. And I went and I drank a little bit. And then I smoked another cigarette. And then I just hit send or hit call before I could stop myself. And we've talked about this before. But I felt like I was on the edge of this ledge. And I could either stay up there and everything's going to be the same and I'll never notice at the bottom of it, but what's up here is okay, so why would I want to look down there? Or I can jump and I can see what happens. But once I jump, I have to keep going. Like, I can't halfway through that call be like, okay, bye, and hang up and pretend that's going to fix anything.
Yeah, you have to, it's kind of a all or nothing kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I kind of made a promise to myself after my first encounter with my family that I was going to be the person that I wanted to be, because I had always grown up with my adoptive family, and like they kind of had this idea of what I should be or what have you, and I always tried to fit into that. And then I met them, and I realized that I could just be who I wanted to be.
When you met your
my biological, yeah. When I met them, I realized that I could be whoever I wanted to be. Like, I could be me, because around them I didn't have to pretend. Like I smoked cigarettes, and I hid that from my parents forever, and they didn't know for like 7 years that I smoked cigarettes.
I bet they knew.
Well, either way, but like I would always hide like little stuff, like little parts of myself from them. And with my biological family, like they had never known me, and like so I got to reinvent myself. I got to be who I was around them. So I made a promise to myself to just from then on, I'm just gonna fucking do me.
Yeah, that's how I was with my dad. It's not that I lied. I didn't hold anything back from him. But I could choose how I presented myself. Like with my mom, I didn't move out till I was 24. I moved out when I was 25.
Something like that.
2 days after my birthday. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I love my mom. We have a very good relationship, but I could never control the setting of it. Like, I've noticed even after moving out, our relationship is much better. Like, I'll show up and I'll talk to my mom for a couple hours and I'll leave.
Yeah.
When I'm living with them all the time, and she's known me, of course she's known me her whole life. But I can never say, this is who I am now.
Yeah.
Like, she knows adult full-time job responsibility Adam, but she also knows, like, came home sick with a tummy ache Adam when he was 6.
Yeah. Then you'll always be her baby boy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I, to the same degree, a little bit as my dad, but with him, like, my parents got divorced when I was 8, and we visited, like Christmas some years and a couple weeks in the summer. And then as I became a teenager, as teenagers often do, I became very bitter and resentful. And I don't know exactly, actually I do know what triggered it. The last time I saw him was for my sister's high school graduation. He came up, and then I lied and said I had to go somewhere, and I just walked out of the house. And I started walking in circles around my town and just pretended that I had to go somewhere else. And I think they all knew that I just couldn't handle that right now.
Yeah.
Like, they let me have the lie. That they let me think that I had pulled the wool over their eyes, but they all knew.
Yeah.
And then we still talked over AIM for another couple years, because I distinctly remember my first date. I told my dad afterwards how it went, and that went nowhere, by the way. But
you don't say.
Yeah. But it was just when my high school graduation came up, he sent me an email asking when he should come, and I just sent him this like page and a half of this just bitter, angry, why would you be invited? You did nothing to get me here. And it was just that for pages, or page and a half-ish. And I was so proud that I was an asshole for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm like, yeah, fuck you, you're out of my life now. And I didn't speak to him for another 6 years after that.
Did you talk to him about that when you guys finally met up?
Yes.
Did he tell you how that felt?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that trip was the proudest moment in my life, but it also was some of my lowest points. When he told me that, about his reaction to the letter, he just said it hurt him. And then later I was talking to my stepmom, and she told me the nights he spent crying because of what I had said. And that ripped me up. He also, to give you an idea, I don't know if I've even told you this before, and we've been friends for 10 years.
Something like that.
He was hesitant when I first started talking to him to even see me, because he sincerely thought, and it's why we met at my grandmother's house instead of meeting him privately somewhere, is because he sincerely thought that I might be going down there to kill him. That was an honest concern he had, so he met me with a group, just in case.
Were you that bitter?
Yeah. Or at least that's how I came off, because it's easier to hate. It's easier to be angry than to try to understand why someone could be divorced or want to get divorced. When I was a kid, I thought I understood. Or no, sorry, I fucked that up. When I was a kid, I was too young to understand. I just knew, like, oh, I guess he's not here anymore. Then I was a teenager. I had an incredibly black and white view, I'm right, you're wrong view of the world. And he was wrong, so there's no way he could be like, well, I guess he had his reasons. It was just, no, you're wrong, you're a terrible person, I hate you, die. And then as I got, like, I'm acting like I'm some sage now. But I'm definitely smarter and more mature. And I'm like, oh, it's fucking complicated. He could have stayed with my mom in an incredibly unhappy marriage where they increasingly resent each other. I mean, they resent each other enough to get divorced. And then I could grow up in that horrible, toxic environment and start hating both of them.
It wasn't just about like them being bad to each other. Like, they were taking it out on themselves, too. Like, from what I understand, both they didn't exactly lead the most healthy personal lives.
No. And it was because they were both looking for an escape.
Yeah.
So that's option A. Or B, they get divorced. I have two parents who love each other, who find fulfilling relationships with people they actually truly connect with. And then I'm not raised in a constant cesspool of hatred.
Yes,
I feel like that's the preferred option.
Yeah, but as a child, you never really, you can't grasp that because you'd never been in bad relationships when you were 13 years old. You could never understand what it's like to live with someone that you truly just hate.
But you sat with somebody else on the bus.
Yeah.
That was the extent of my bad relationship.
Yeah.
When I was that age.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet I thought I knew the world. It's just the nature of being a teenager.
Oh yeah, no, I hated everyone when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, liked me though. Well, when I met you.
No, I liked you. I liked my friends, but like I was pretty well known for being an asshole.
It's easier.
It is. It's way easier. It was easier to shut everyone out than to give people a chance.
Yeah, I believe a philosopher by the name of Pink Floyd wrote a whole album about that.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you got to give some brevity. It's, I don't know. It's just it was a very humbling moment for me when I realized, oh, this is what half of my family thought of me. That I was this bitter, well, I guess I was bitter and angry, but that I was that full of hate. So when I came down there, I said some additional terrible things that I won't even repeat here. I might tell you later. But I had a serious concern that I was going to get the shit kicked out of me by my 3 stepbrothers who are all much bigger than I am. Or at least they were when I was younger. I actually have a couple inches on all of them now. But,
a couple inches, and they might have 100 pounds or so on
well,
you.
yeah, I'm a skeleton. So I remember I was only, actually one still lives at home and one was visiting. And with the one who was visiting, he's the one closest to me in age. I stood on the porch with him, and he's like, when I read those things that you said, I wanted to beat the shit out of you. I'm like, I a little bit expected some of that. So I explained myself to him as well. And he and I have we don't really talk that much, but there's no reason we're not talking. We just have nothing to say. Yeah, if I hit him up right now, you'd be down to call.
Yeah, you your own separate lives. You're adults. You're busy people.
Yeah. I'm with that with a lot of people. I'll go months without speaking to them, and then we start talking, and we're right back where we were.
Oh, that's a sign of actual friendship.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah. I feel like I kind of started stealing the show here.
No, by all means. It's, share and share alike.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any particular questions for me.
I have no exact questions. I have 2 notes written down. Reconnecting, blank slate, and sister's birthday.
Oh, yeah. That was a hell of a night. Sweet 16. It was an 80s themed party.
Ooh, and this is your first encounter with all these people.
Yeah. I was so awkward that I spent about half the night outside the dance hall chain smoking with my grandmother talking about life. Oh my god, that woman smoked like a chimney. That's one of my fondest memories. Well, she actually died a few years ago because she smoked like a chimney. That'll definitely do it. But that's always what I did when I went out there, because she would always make a point to come down to California when I was going out there, because obviously, she lives 3,000 miles away. We never saw each other, so she took the opportunity.
Where did
she lived in Oregon at the time.
Oh, okay.
That's where my whole family's originally from.
All right.
Well, she's actually from LA, but she moved. Anyway, different story.
Yeah.
But that was one of my fondest memories, was just sitting on my mother's back porch, drinking some sort of strong beverage that my mom whipped up in the blender, and just chain smoking at 10 a.m. with my grandmother.
Yeah, I don't remember where I was going to ask you about that.
But I was just, I don't know, also, it was a dance party. I hate dancing, so I was just no, I'm just going to hide outside with grandma.
Yeah, mine was a lot of sitting on a couch. Well, we sat on that couch for about 3 or 4 hours, just hashing everything out. There were a lot of tears, not angry tears, just, oh, this is what I've been missing out on kind of tears, but it was necessary. I had to reconnect with him as an adult. I had to come back when I was ready. I couldn't, if I had been thrown into that situation, it would have been very different from me having chosen to do it. And I remember distinctly, I was considering either taking the Amtrak down, which never take the fucking Amtrak anywhere, or driving. And at my last rest stop before, I'm like, okay, this should be the final stretch of the drive. I started Googling motels near his house in case I just needed to bail, crash somewhere, and then leave. But it all went so well. I haven't been down since. It was only, it's getting on 3 years ago. Just life got in the way.
It happens, man.
As it does. I did start talking to my grandmother again. She's a tiny old British lady. I sent her a box of British snacks because British food is so gross. But she loves it. So I sent her a box of that. It's just little things like that, which I never thought of, seeing my grandmother. I didn't realize how much I missed it till I had it again.
Yeah. And
I'm so glad I did reconnect before anything happened to one of them. What? I don't even want to go down that road. But you can understand where I'm coming from.
I mean, I looking back on it, I almost wish that I'd waited longer to meet them until I was more stable as an individual.
Yeah.
Because I had talked to them for a couple years online beforehand, but I remember right before we went out there, my mom, she walks into my bedroom and she's like, oh, actually no, it wasn't right before I went out. It was maybe a year before I went out. She walks into my bedroom and she handed me a stack. Actually, no, it was before I even started talking to my sister. Because
It's okay.
It was before I even started talking to my sister. It was actually a week before she found me on MySpace. I think my mom might have messaged my birth mother about it because the timing is a little weird. But anyway, she handed me a stack of letters, and it was every birthday, holiday card, whatever, that my mom had ever sent me for 16 years. And she's just like, oh, by the way, you have two sisters, and handed me a stack of like 50 letters. And I sat there, and I read every single one of them, and I looked through all of them, and like there was pictures of my family and everything, and I was just like, at 16, I didn't even know how to fucking process that. Like,
I wouldn't know how to process that now.
yeah, it was earth shattering.
Yeah.
And then to have my sister contact me like a week later, and then we talked for a couple years, and then I went out there. But like, I almost wish things had taken a little bit slower pace because we kind of like rushed into it.
Yeah.
Almost, it felt rushed, but in retrospect, I'm glad it happened. I just maybe in a different way.
Yeah. To me, who knows? Like maybe if you had met them later, it would have been the same. Like maybe you were more stable afterwards because of having gone through that.
It's not impossible.
Like I definitely noticed a change in myself when I came back home.
I noticed a change in you too.
Yeah, I felt like I had the world by the balls. Like I was working as a grocery clerk, and I worked the fuck out of that job. I got promoted within 4 months of coming back. Instead of staring longingly at someone from across my grocery store, I asked her out. We're still dating a year later. Actually, no, it was a little later than that. But like, I suddenly felt good about myself constantly in the back of my head. I'm like, I just went through some heavy shit. Like, okay, so I'll ask her out. What she's gonna say? No. Okay, I'll ask someone else out. Like before the thought of that terrified me. But now I'm like, fucking invincible. What are you gonna do to me? I've already seen what I can be at my best, and it is so much better than anything this petty shit can throw at me. And then I didn't like that job, so I fucking quit, and I got a better one. I would not have done that a couple of years ago. I would have just kept grinding out the same shit over and over again.
I know you did, because you worked there for 10 fucking years.
Yeah, I did. I got a job when I was 14. Worked there till I was 25, 11 years.
11 years,
I quit 2 months after my 11th anniversary there.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be gone. That's a whole other show. I could rant for hours about that.
Oh, and job. I've heard you.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Family's tough, man. It's never an easy thing because you don't get to pick them.
Yeah.
They're there, and for better or worse. And sometimes it's definitely for the worse.
I feel like I've been lucky with my family. I have 5 cousins, 2 sort of step siblings, because my mom has been dating the same guy for like 15 years, but they're not married, but step siblings. And then I have 3 actual stepbrothers who I noticed the change in myself that I'm saying stepbrother now for the sake of keeping it straight in my head, but I never say stepbrother. I just refer to them as my brothers. Mm-hmm. And then I have a brother and a sister. So like I have like a lot of people like roughly my age. Like I'm very close to my brother, less so with my sister. My stepbrothers I'm cool with. Like I don't really talk to them that much. And my cousins, for whatever reason, like I like them. I just don't talk to them.
Yeah, I got 3 half siblings, and they're just my siblings. We don't go by half siblings. It's like it's the same thing. Like no, they're family. It is what it is. But my cousins, dude, they're all insane. They're all just goddamn insane. And I used to be super close with them when I was a kid because I didn't have siblings, so they were like the closest things I had to that. But then as time went on, and we all got older, I realized just how batshit they really were, and I started to not like any of them. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they're all wicked rich, but they're all wicked white trash too at the same time. It's like this really interesting. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, they've got all these fancy toys, but like their biggest thing is like drinking beer and going on quad rides and like just like
sounds fun.
It does sound fun, but they're stupid. They're just dumb people, and it really bothers me because their parents are all so smart. They're all just wicked fuck ups.
Yeah, my cousins all pretty much have their shit together. I don't know. I've been lucky with my family. I don't have any like major scandals. Actually, I do, but I'm keeping that buried. Like I'll tell you later if you're interested. But like I gotta stop saying like. My second little planned segment I had here was I feel like a huge aspect of family is friends. Like I have friends who I've known most of my life. I have two friends who I've known since I was one. One of the people I still talk to I met when I was 4, and these people I met in Philadelphia. I used to live there, obviously. It's not like I was a 4-year-old jet setting around the world.
Could have been.
Yeah, it's possible. But I consider them family. I went like years without seeing them, and as soon as I see them again, we're the same person. Like I was at one of their weddings, and I'm standing up on stage. I'm seeing my friend get married. She's been like a sister to me her whole life, and I've been with her whole life, and to me that is family. And like I consider you in that group. I have another friend who I consider in that group. In a way, you choose your friends, but at the same time, I feel like you meet people you just kind of gravitate towards.
Oh, absolutely. For me, like, I was never very close to my adoptive family. Like, there was always, like, I always knew I was, so I kind of put up this wall. So I never really had much of a close family growing up. So I've always had this mentality that the people that I've chose to bring in my life and keep close, like, they are family to me. Like, I have a friend like that who I've known since I was 1. We've been friends for, like, what is it, 24 years now? Something stupid
Almost
like
25.
that. Yeah, almost
Happy
25.
birthday.
Yeah. Almost 25 years now. And, like, I can go years without talking to her, and our relationship is exactly the same as it always was. Like, and people like you and some of my other friends who I've known forever, and whatever may happen in between, like, I've had some drama with some of my friends, but I'm not gonna let petty shit ruin, like, 10, 15 years of friendship. Like, that's not worth it to me. Like, I'm always willing to just, like, should bury the hatchet, because those people are my family. They're the people I've chosen to keep close to me my entire life.
Yeah, to me, what's the old saying? A friend will help you move, a best friend will help you move a body.
Yeah.
I don't know if I go that far, but I have many people in my life who, if they called me at 3 a.m., like, hey, I'm stranded 300 miles away, you want to come get me? I'd be in my car while still on the phone with them. Yeah. There's people in my life who I would do anything for, and my family is definitely, obviously, part of that, but my friends are part of that as well, and it's partially because I've chosen them. And I started making lists, and I realized it was strange. But like any relationship, I feel like you find people who who complement your strengths and help mitigate your weaknesses. I know you and I spoke about this a couple of times, but most recently yesterday, about how I used to be a very closed off and isolated person, and you have taken responsibility or credit, and I have given you credit for being the one who really pulled me out of that.
Well, to be fair, like, I kind of made it my mission that summer a couple years back.
It was a good summer.
It was a good summer. Like, I made it my personal goal to make sure you had a fucking awesome summer. And, like, I brought you to just about every crazy party, whatnot I went to or wanted to go to. And I don't know, I kind of made it my goal to make sure you had a really good summer.
Yeah, and actually I mentioned this to my girlfriend earlier today. She's the kind of girl who likes going out dancing and all that. And I've never been that guy, but I've also kind of wished that I was that guy. And now I have someone in my life who's like, yeah, let's go to a club. And I'll be like, okay, I guess I don't have to worry about making an ass of myself, because I make an ass of myself in front of you all the time when you're still here. So I must be doing something right.
Yeah, it must be.
One of my other really close friends, who have another podcast, you should listen to it. I felt like he helps mitigate the other side of me. The part that's, hey, let's spend all my money right now on anything.
Like,
and he's
buying samurai swords drunk at 3 a.m?
It was a rapier. Oh, no, sorry. I was looking at Spartan swords. He bought the rapier. But he's like when I think I'm an adult, I'm like, I guess I'm kind of an adult. And then I think of this friend, I'm like, oh, no, he's got it. I should probably call him if I need something.
Yeah, no.
Like, how do taxes work? And I need him to explain that to me. I'm like, okay.
He's a very level-headed individual.
Yes, and it's part, like, we obviously mesh well, but I like need a stabilizing influence in my life as well as a more chaotic influence, and the two of you kind of just are those opposite ends of the spectrum.
Total chaos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's delightful. But I need someone else who's much more grounded to be like, hey, you should not jump off that bridge. While you're like, yeah, what's the worst that could happen? And if you don't have both of that, you're gonna be a normal person, and normal's fucking boring.
Oh,
I need to go off the rails and have someone put me back, and then occasionally have someone shove me back off of them.
I have a great story about friends jumping off bridges.
I've heard that. Let's tell the story. Fuck it.
All right, so there's a railroad trestle not far from our house where we live, and a bunch of my friends, they were going out there to go swimming, and before they left, his mother told him, "Don't jump off a bridge because all your friends are doing it." So they get out there. And everyone's jumping off the...
It's normally a metaphor.
Normally it's a metaphor. This time it was literal. She didn't know it was going to be literal, but it happened. Anyway, they all get out there. Everyone's jumping off the bridge. It's fine. They're all landing in the water. Of course it's his fucking dumb luck. He jumps off the bridge, hits a tree underwater, and it, impales his leg. Like a couple inch round stick goes, right into his leg. And he does not want to tell his mother. So he goes to our other friend Katie's house, and her mom's a nurse, and she bandages it up and cleans the wound, and he limps in his house and hides it and doesn't tell his mother. A few days later, it's getting really inflamed. Turns out he got I think it was cellulitis or some other really bad infection, and he almost lost his leg. If he had waited a couple more days to go to the hospital, they would have had to amputate the leg from the knee down. But his mother was literally just the entire way there is, "I fucking told you so."
And again, those are the people you need in your life.
Oh, yeah.
You need someone who will tell you to jump off a bridge and then carry you to a nurse instead of the hospital.
Yeah. But not their finest moment.
No, not at all. But it's a good story as long as everybody lives. And that's the kind... I don't know, it's just a cliche that the friends are the people you go through shit with, but they are.
Yeah.
You and I have definitely been in some shit together.
Yeah, the time I got arrested and you had to walk home.
Yes.
From the police station at 4 in the morning.
But yeah, it's just little stuff like that. It's you need, as much as you need your family and you need to stay connected to that, you need friends who are not an impartial third party at all. You need friends who are always, yeah, you're right. You need someone like that. Mm-hmm. And I had almost nothing else. Oh, fun fact, by the way. A friendship that lasts 7 years is statistically going to last forever. So you and I are in the clear. I'm not going to high five again because I saw the spike that made on the recording. And we're not going to do that twice.
I've definitely had some friendships, though, where I've, definitely totally sort of destroyed things.
Yes. I actually...
long-lasting friendships that I destroyed.
To me, I had... This is kind of going against what I just said. But I had friends. I moved to Massachusetts when I was 8. And then I moved from that first town to my second town. I'm not going to name them. When I was 15. Yeah, it was the summer I turned 15. And all my friends from that first town, who I kind of just assumed I'd be friends with forever, and we were always inseparable, and we had sleepovers all the time, because that's what you did when you were 12. We ate bacon pizza and played Halo.
Still do that.
Oh yeah, dude, I would do that right now. But I haven't spoken to them in years. And I don't even know if I could start again. I looked them up on Facebook, and I realized, maybe I'll give them a few more years. I won't say what I saw.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Maybe another 10.
Yeah, as much as I'm sad to see some of those friendships go, it's also part of growing up. People leave your life. Yeah. And if they leave your life, they probably left it for a reason.
I mean, it's like any relationship. If you drift apart, you've drifted apart, and there's no amount of duct tape that can hold it together if you're just going in different directions.
Yeah, it really isn't. And that's the thing about growing up. You just have to realize when to wash your hands of certain things.
Yeah. And it sucks. Maybe it's because I moved so much when I was younger. But I tended to just find someone and just cling to them. I'm like, no, you and me forever now. And then I just I didn't really learn to let go. I kind of had to learn to let go, because when I moved, I was 20 miles away. Maybe less than that.
It's less than that.
But when you're 14, that might be it will be the other side of the planet.
No one can get anywhere.
Yeah, like I could ride my bike and then die.
Yeah.
Like the only way on it to get there is like main roads.
Oh yeah. It's...
So I just kind of had to let those people go, and I kind of wonder like how different of a person would I be if I had like that had stayed in my social circle, and I wonder like what my life would have been if I had stayed raised by my dad or by two parents, and I used to wonder about that a lot. Not that I was unhappy with who I was. I'm just like, I wonder how things would be different. And it took me a long time. Like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like, this is it now. Like, it might be fun to think about, but there's no point in me staying up at night wondering, like, how would have been life been different if I had, graduated with, like, Chris is my best friend instead of Cam. Like, it doesn't matter in the end.
The what if game is a waste of time. I've spent so many sleepless nights trying to play that game, and it never goes anywhere.
Oh,
good.
I still do. Like, as much as I wish I could say I'd completely moved past every now and then, I'm like, what if that first date had gone better? Like, but at the same time, there's nothing I can do now. You just try to learn and move on.
It's the best thing you can do. Like, the dwelling on shit has never helped anybody.
No, not at all. Well, I guess maybe dwelling on my horrible relationship with my father is what led me to fix it.
Well,
kind of. But the dwelling isn't what fixed it.
No, it's not.
It was the action.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like this is heading towards a wrap.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything else you want to say.
I think I'm good for right now.
All right, this was a very successful episode 1 of Some Kind of Life, possibly So-Called of Life. Don't really have a title nailed down yet.
We're working on it.
Hope you all enjoyed it. This was Adam.
This is Cullen.
Good night.